Well, I have some good news and some bad news for you. Giro d'Italia 2025, Stage 19. We're up here in the Alps in Val d'Aosta, one of the two big last mountain showdowns in this Tour of Italy. I want to let you know the Giro d'Italia coverage is presented by Bicycle.com, the best place online to buy and sell pre-owned bikes. Have too many bikes in your garage or shed? No problem. Head on over to bicycle.com/FloBikes to list your bikes in minutes and sell to cyclists worldwide. Oh, and get your 30% off seller discount code. All right, now back to the good news and the bad news. The good news, well, we are treated to a breakaway successful ride. Nicolas Prudhomme, Team Decathlon AG2R, escaped in the final 25 kilometers, broke free from his last companions. That was Carlos Verona, winner in Asiago. Yes, the cheese place. I cannot forget the cheese. And also Verona's victory. I'm super proud of Verona. And today, well, we got another escape pulling off victory ahead of the GC battle behind. Prudhomme will be super happy with this because the team came for the sprints with Irishman Sam Bennett. Sam wasn't at his best and the team wasn't able to pull off victory in the sprints, but they did so with the escape today. In what's one of the hardest days in the Giro d'Italia, starting off with the Cat 3 climb out of Bielle. That's where we stayed last night, in that area, the land of chateaus and castles. We're up here near the French border, so we're getting more of these castles all around the Savoy area. And yeah, I woke up this morning in a castle, did a run around the countryside, around all the vineyards. It's Barbaresco, it's Barolo, it's good times, and it's drinking. I did a little bit of that last night, but I ran off all the wine this morning. I loved it. Okay, back to the action because we had 166 kilometers power packed. I mentioned the first categorized 3 climb, then 3 big Cat 1 climbs coming at you. 1, 2, 3. The last one around about 20 kilometers to go, the Col de Giu, and then the final climb, a Cat 3 climb, dropping off with 5 kilometers to go, would be key for the race. We had this major escape. Up there, we also had satellite riders. Team EF Education Easy Post with Richard Carapaz, who sits second overall, had his man Steinhauser up there, and also had another man in Rafferty, Darren Rafferty, the Irish national champion. Satellite riders up the road, including Visma Lease bike riders, Walt Van Aert. Also of note was that Carlos Verona, who was the last to stick with Prudhomme, had 2 other riders with him. He had Mosca, and he also had teammate Conrad. And the two, Verona and Prudhomme, the eventual stage winner, got rid of Antonio Tiberi. Tiberi was up the road trying for a stage win. He started this Giro d'Italia thinking about overall success, but couldn't do it. They distanced him, killed him off. He dropped back, ended up being a satellite rider for Caruso and making key pacing when the attacks went down. All right, Prudhomme does his attack, 25 kilometers to go, over the top of the Col de Giu, down in the valley, up the top of the last time, the Antagnod, down 5K. He had around 50 seconds at the top of the last major summit. Then over the last one, coming into the finish, his time gap was going up. He knew he had victory in the bag, and he started celebrating coming into the finish line. Big victory for the Frenchman. All right, back to the GC battle. And frankly, I'm sorry to say, it was a bit of a sleeper day. That's the bad news, along with the good news. And some other good news I got for you. Don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. But we thought this was going to be a big mountain throwdown, just knockout battle. But we didn't really have it from the GC guys. And towards the top of that final big climb, we thought, when are these guys going to attack our race leader, Isaac del Toro, 21-year-old, who was mentioned by the Mexican president overnight, nominated as a sportsman. Super proud to have that title. Well, when are they going to attack him? Because he showed weakness the other day in stage 16. He came back, did well in Bormio. But I thought, and I even said it, and I got a lot of hate in the comments, I don't think he's going to win the Giro d'Italia. But I got to tell you, after today, if it continues like this, and tomorrow, the final mountain stage of this Giro d'Italia 2025, well, we're going to see a Mexican winner in Rome, and a well-deserved one because he's riding well out there, putting UAE to work, and it's paying off. The same thing we see when Tadej Pogacar is riding. He's got his men on the front. Oh, Rafael Maica. He's got Brandon McNulty, the American. He's got Adam Yates, who wasn't at his best today. earlier in the day, he had his team working so hard out there. Baroncini working well, the UAE Team Emirates rider for Isaac Del Toro, the Mexican in the pink jersey, La Maglia Rosa. And when the attacks finally came, because we were getting sleepy here at the finish, just wondering what was going to happen. Well, it finally came, but it was too late to the top. Richard Carapaz hit out. I think also Pelizzari, Red Bull Bor Hansgrohe in the white jersey, holding it for Del Toro, a best young rider. He attacks. They launch it. But Del Toro goes right with them. They whiz by Rafael Maica. They whiz by Brendan McNulty, who were riding on the front, and they let Del Toro go, and then Del Toro's with them, and then it comes back. UAE's back in control down the descent, and then we have this final climb, a short one, steady gradients all the way up to the top, leaving 5K to go. Again, not much space to do any damage, but Carapaz hits again. The Ecuadorian rider, former Giro d'Italia champion, Carapacho as I'm calling him, hits out. Bam, bam, and just like in Bormio the other day, Del Toro's right on his wheel and goes right with them, doesn't contribute to the pacemaking, and hey, he doesn't have to. Neither did Wout van Aert when he was riding to Siena the other day. He didn't have to help out Del Toro, and if he wins, because that's bike racing, and argue it out down in the comments if you want to, but these are pro riders. This isn't a Sunday group ride. Del Toro's on the wheel of Richard Carapaz. We thought he would attack in the final like he did the other day in a Bormio, get a little bit of a gap on Carapaz, but he didn't do that. But what he did was he beat him in the sprint, finishing second over Carapaz, third behind our stage winner, picking up 6 and 4 bonus seconds. So he got a 2-second extra over Carapaz in the GC, a 2-second bonus. When we're looking at the GC, we see that right now on the screen. And importantly, they distanced themselves from third, fourth, and back beyond, from Yates, G, and back beyond. And those riders came in, Pelizzari included, who was out for a stage victory today, sliding out in that left-hand corner, overpowering into the corner, hitting the barriers, crashing, didn't slide out, he actually hit the barriers, crashed. G came right into him, G kept it upright, but G was held up, and because they were already back behind, there are no sort of time buffer gaps that will be, the time gaps are given is what I want to say. This isn't like a sprint stage, so it counts. Pelizzari was distanced off. G, as a consequence of Pelizzari's crash, was distanced a little bit, and they're going to be a few seconds time gap, maybe even 5 seconds. We're seeing the GC on the screen right now. I followed Derek G right over there. Derek, super kind Canadian, you know I love you, but today he was upset. He didn't want to give any time to Gregor Brown. I don't blame him, but that's when the best interviews come, when the riders are pissed off. And Derek G was pissed off. Derek G took a moment to gather his thoughts, looked at me, polite Canadian, says, "Not today, Gregor." Said, "All right, Derek." And then he starts to ride off. His team press officer's there, and he goes, "Fuck!" I can't pronounce the whole word here for us, for our viewers, for the children watching at home, but it was the F-bomb. He dropped it and then rode off. That sucks for Derek. Sucks because he was the one who was chasing so hard to bring back Del Toro and Carapaz after they attacked. Couldn't get any cooperation from Yates. They tried a little bit, but then, remember I mentioned Tiberi. Well, Tiberi was back there pulling for Caruso, and those guys were the only ones that were really doing the good pacing to keep that gap at a reasonable distance. But guys, they were gapped today, and that doesn't bode well because we might have seen our first and second spots in the GC for when we finish in Rome on Sunday cemented today. Now the other good news, along with Prodome's victory, well, it's Isaac Del Toro. Come on. Cool. This is awesome. His first victory, stage victory, first ever Mexican to put on the pink jersey, not the first Mexican to ever win a stage. That happened a few years ago, back in 2001, I think, but he could be the first Mexican rider ever win the race overall. He's already got the first Mexican to ever be in the pink jersey, and Mexico's going crazy. More Mexican journalists are coming out day after day to see what's going on. Oh, but wait 1 second. Remember I mentioned the Col della Finestra is coming up on the horizon tomorrow, and it's not just a climb, it's a gravel climb, and it just doesn't peak out there, descent, not on gravel, and finish up at Sestriere. And you remember, that's where Chris Froome, I think it was 2018, launched his comeback to put himself in the pink jersey to go on to eventually win the Giro d'Italia. What will happen in stage 20 in this 2025 Giro d'Italia? Well, who knows? Isaac Del Toro is looking more and more confident every day. Maybe I'm going to eat my words, And frankly, now I'm not quite sure who's going to win this Giro d'Italia. I'm pulling for Derek G. If he can't do it, I'm hoping Isaac Toro, because it'd be a great story. Richard Carapaz seems the strongest out of those first top 4 riders, but we don't know what Simon Yates, the British rider from Team Visma Lease Bike, will do. So tune in tomorrow. But today it's a celebration because Isaac Toro continues in the pink jersey in this 2025 trip around Italy, a big tour of Italy, and what they call the Giro d'Italia.